We got two divisional games on the board, both featuring public road favorites, and I'm heavily invested. Let's get it.
Yeah, I'm so fresh like the morning, mouth wide open like they yawning. Every time they see me, they in G-Shock. Homie, this is too far. Homie, I feel too alive. You can see me like Illuminati. You can see me like Illuminati. But I'm trying to.
What's going on, YouTube? Welcome to the closing line. My name is Troy Torrance, and I host this show every Tuesday and Thursday to remind you of a little bit of some graphic issues, and there we go. Now we're all ready to go. And I came here to remind you. I come here every Tuesday and Thursday to remind you of two things. First of all, the bookies are not your enemy. They're your roadmap. Every move they make, they're telling you something. Most people fight the books. I urge you to embrace them. Number two, limit the psychological damage. Whatever you got to do. I'm probably going to take a little bit of a bad beat in the San Francisco Giants' first five. Whatever I got to do to limit the psychological damages. That means making no more bets for the rest of the day. Then that's what I got to do, because we know that this is not a get-rich-quick scheme. The bookies will ban you for exhibiting just a 1% edge. So you have to be patient. The most profitable bettors are not emotional. You can't put your emotions to the side. You will lose. There's a 0% chance you beat the books. Stay within the confines of your bankroll and grind. And that's exactly what we're going to do today. And that's what we did on Tuesday. Last Tuesday, so we've had 6 shows so far in June, and we're plus 17.62 units. Now we're going to take a little bit of a step back here to start the day because of the Giants and the Royals that I did post on X. But if you could pull up my action, Vic, I'd appreciate it. From this past Tuesday, right? We talked about all of these games. The only loss we took was with the Rays money line, and that was a painful one. That was the only game I put in the night before, trying to close the value. The line did not move. The market did not work out as I expected. Now I'm playing a little bit of chicken, betting that early in the market cycle, because my entire thesis is predicated on the market. So if I'm betting early into a line that I don't know where it's going to move, no, I had some intuition it would move in my favor. It didn't. But that's the damage we're doing. And we had the Astros first five. We had the Tigers first five money line, the Cubs money line, all cashers. Ryan Johnson throws a no-no through 5 innings. We cashed the first 5 money line. We cashed the plus a half. And then I loaded up on my favorite bet, which was the Giants' first 5. And here I am today, back on the Giants' first 5, and they're down 2-1. So I'm starting off maybe a little bit of a hole to start this day. Now we've got the bottom of the 5th up with the Giants. Springs is a guy who he kind of labors and might run into a wall here. So we're not out of the woods yet. We might get a push. We might take an L. Regardless, it's been a massive, massive month of June, all the way back to about May of last month or mid-May. Last month. I've just been on a monumental rise up. So I got to keep that going. I got to stay locked in. And every Tuesday and Thursday on this show since I've started, since early April. My first show was on April 9th. We've been destroying the lines. I mean, we're pushing 30 units of profit on the show. We got to keep that going. And the only way to do that is to grind and to get it out the mud, to be very, very thoughtful of your handicap. And that's what we're going to do. We got 5 games on the slate, plenty of time to talk them through. And there's one spot in particular that I cannot wait to talk to. I have no action in it, but I want to bet it so bad. And I think I do. I'm starting to lean heavily towards one side in that one. So let's get to the first game up. Actually, before that, let me holler at the chat. We got Top Set. What up, Top Set? Every time I see you, man, I can't help but just envision myself playing 2-5, no limit at the Horseshoe, looking down at a Top Set. God damn, that feeling I'm missing. I definitely miss it. Colin Gregory, thank you for always coming and joining us in the chat and supporting me, supporting Pub Sports Radio. I really appreciate it. AOD, fuck the bookies. Well, at the end of the day, like, they got to kind of be your best friend, because they're going to guide you to the cash. They're going to guide you to the cash. In my opinion, for me, my edge is in the bookies. I confide in the bookies. I need them. Without them, I'm lost. Colin Gregory, thank you. Spoons, what's up? Thank you, Spoon. Thank you. How about some good luck in the bottom of the 5th in the Giants game? That'd be awesome. Ecuador AOD is probably riding some Ecuador action. Pakistan just joined group. You killed it yesterday. Thank you, man. I've been running it up for almost 2 months now. I got to continue that because I was in a massive hole, basically late April. So I got to stay locked in here. Derek, appreciate you always, man. Always appreciate you. Always appreciate the comments. Any input you always have. Really appreciate it, dude. So with that said, we got 5 games. We got an hour to work with. Let's get it, man. Let's talk about these games. First game up, the Tigers and the Astros. So this is a little bit tricky to talk about because intuitively, this is not the type of market you want to be involved in. This is not the type of market where the bookies are telling you to bet the Tigers. However, the market history in this spot definitely favors the Tigers bet. I guess you could just pull up my graphic right away that I made for this game. I have quite a few graphics that I think are all for the games that are skewed in our favor in one way or another. In this game here, we're looking at a lot. So you can see the cash flow there in the top left, right? Percentage of bets on the Tigers, 66, 74, 62, 91 on the Tigers. We're seeing public sentiment and the bigger bets coming on the Tigers. And this line dropped from minus 126 to minus 117, while the total moved up from 8.5 to 9. So it's a very, honestly, before I built the database, this is a spot where I would only be looking towards the Astros. But with the database, I apply these variables. I look at the market history, and what do I see? I see that on the baseline market, the home team's winning 58% of the time. There's currently prices out there as low as minus 115, which is going to offer you a big advantage in almost a 200-game sample. Then you go to the right when you apply the filters between 8.5 and 9, right? Because we're at a 9 juice to the under at the moment. So you got to really isolate the 8.5 and 9, 49 and 29 straight up. You're also seeing trends to the under at 53 and 59%, a pretty solid range. The Tigers are 3-1 straight up in the like-kind markets, basically in this sample. The Tigers are 3-1, while the Astros have no games in this sample. I was like, how did the Astros have not played in this type of market since 2023? Well, they have, but all the totals were below 8 or above 9.5. Very weird to see. Most of their sample was from earlier, 2023, 2024. So it's not very applicable. We have nothing to look at for the Astros. But like you can get the Tigers right now. I'm looking at it minus 111, 52% implied odds. You're looking at between 6 and 10%, edge versus the implied odds. And that's definitely something you should be looking at and licking your chops. And that's what I'm doing, because in a market like this, you can pull it down now as I start to get into the matchup. When you got a market like this, you can't just bet on the market alone. Like this is a situation where I would need the market or the matchup to match the market, right? I need confluence on this game. I can't just confide in the market. Because I would be betting against a pretty strong line move, right? All the action coming on one side, line moving the other way. I want the matchup to be in my favor. And I look at Troy Melton versus Imai, and I like what I see. So Troy Melton, 0.95 whip, 256 ERA, 380 xERA. So his xERA is above average, but we should be expecting a regression. But this is a pitcher we backed at all but one of his starts. So you can call me biased, but I'm truly not being biased when I'm betting the Tigers and I'm betting Melton. I'm betting the market when I'm betting his game. Somehow he's always in the market we're betting on. He's coming off 6 innings, 1 hit, 1 run at home against the White Sox, only 2 home starts. The first was shaky against Minnesota. And that's expected after 3 road starts to start the season. So I kind of expected that start against Minnesota to go south. And that's when we hopped on the train with Troy Melton as well. So last year in 45 innings of work, he had a 1.0 whip, a 276 ERA, 364 xERA. So far, there's no reason to believe that he can't sustain this level of success in the MLB. My only concern, and I was talking about this in Discord earlier, is that he cannot get the swing and miss. His swing and miss, his strikeout is down 5%. That could be a problem. That's probably why his xERA is higher than his actual. I look at his pitch mix. I kind of like what I see. 40% fastball, 23% slider, 16% cutter, and the 9% splitter, which I talk about all the time, is meta. Now he opted to increase the use of his cutter and decrease the usage of his sinker, which I found to be interesting, but it serves as somewhat of a changeup. The sinker was kind of coming in at the same speed, whereas the cutter had 5 miles an hour taken off of it. So it kind of serves as an alternative changeup in some way, shape, or form. And it seems to be a great decision because the cutter has been his best pitch by far, and it is dirty if you watch it live. He's got on the cutter a .110 batting average, a 138 slug. He's had insane success with it. And I think the mix is well constructed and sets him up for success. I look at Houston versus right-handed pitching, and I'm not impressed. They're league average on the season. And I think Troy Melton could have a great start in this game. On the other side, you got Imai. He has favorable regression looming because he's been so bad. So it's normal, I guess. It's normal to see a pitcher that has bad numbers have favorable regression looming. 3 of his last 4 starts were at home. His only road start at KC, 2.2 innings pitched, 4 hits, 5 earned runs. In June, he's pitched 11.2 innings, 15 hits, and a 7.71 ERA. My major issue with not only but all the pitchers I come on here and slander and throw under the bus, his slider is his most used pitch. When you're leading with a slider, you're leading with a breaking pitch or off speed, you're not going to find success at the major league level. I mean, you will find success, but not in the role as a starter. So he's going to have to do some things to work that mix, or to work new pitches into his mix, or switch up the usage of his pitches because it's not working for him. I don't think it will, because I think it's directly correlated with his walk rate too. His walk rate is 60% higher than league average, and I think it's because he becomes dependent on that slider. It's his most used pitch by far. And to think about it, when I talk about this every week, but I think it's something worth pounding into everyone's heads here, is that it makes the offensive approach so much easier when you're going to get a slider or a fastball 86% of the time. That means you can isolate one of those pitches, a fastball or slider, and you have a 43% chance you're going to see that pitch. So it makes it very easy to guess over the course of 6-7 pitches in an at bat. And the only pitch that profiles above average is the slider. So if I'm an offensive player, what do? I sit fastball, and then I punish them. And that's what offenses have been doing against the MI. Now I know Detroit versus right-handed pitching, they've left a lot to be desired. But if you look at June, since the calendar month has flipped over, they're 7th. And 7th, over 528 plate appearances is pretty impressive. The Astros bullpen is significantly more taxed with Hader, Okert, and King, who pitched 3 of the last 4 days. We also had earlier in the day, and let's see if this is true, because to wrap up this handicap, I did move on the Tigers' first 5. I think the first 5 is where I want to be. And earlier today, we were seeing a little bit of a first 5 discrepancy that just went up in flames with the Giants as well. However, if we're looking at this game right now, we're seeing the first 5 line move towards the Tigers, the full game line move towards the Astros. Now, we don't have the 15-cent disparity between the two, but that's enough for me to prefer the first 5 money line, even if the bullpen is not, the Astros bullpen is taxed. If the bookies are telling me they're more concerned about the first 5 than the full game, I'm going to listen, and I'm only going to move on the first 5. And that's what I did. I put the Tigers' first 5 money line for 2 units. I like the fact that we're going to get, the Astros are coming off 2 consecutive road wins in Toronto. Now they travel to Detroit. I know it's not a far travel, but they're going through customs. And I like the spot, right? Tigers coming off 2 home losses, back at the house. This is a first 5 spot. You also have pushability with the first 5 money line. So I got the Tigers' first 5 money line minus 120 for 2 units. And let's see if anybody's rocking with me in this fucking chat. Jay Peasy, good cash last on Tuesday, Jay Peasy. Good cash last Tuesday, man. Those Cubbies plus 103. Let's go to Joseph. Louisville Gambler. I appreciate those are some new names I'm seeing in chat. Let's get it. Martez, then you need A's money line. Well, now that the first 5 is dead and I'm not moving live, I hope you get your cash, Martez. I hope you get your cash. True Teller, welcome to the chat. Welcome to the closing line, man. I haven't seen you here in a minute. Glad to see you, dude. Next game up, Nationals, Phillies, and this is one of the games that I am pretty heavily invested in. And I'm taking a position, and I'm rocking with the bookies. And let's talk about why. So if we look at this market, 16% of bets, 10% of cash on Washington. You can pull up the graphic. Yeah, this graphic is ready to go. So if you look at the percentage of bets, right, top left, cash flow, you're not seeing a lot of people wanting to be on the Washington Nationals in this game. And there's no surprise because Christopher Sanchez is on the other side. Cavalli, he's been mediocre at best. But what do we see in this market? Well, we did see him move down to 38. Now it has come back up to plus 145, right? So we saw this open 153, got down to 138. It's around plus 145 at the moment. We've also seen the total open at 8, and it's up to 8.5, and it's juiced to the over. So we're looking at a move to the over and a move to the home team. What do you do with those 2 variables? Before even profiling the game, you're believing that the home dog is live and the road starting pitcher is vulnerable, right? The total's moving to the over and towards the home dog. So looking at the graphic, taking it to the bottom half, right? Home teams that close between plus 120 and plus 150. Now we could expand this range, right? Because this, at one point, this was middling the range. Now it's a little bit higher, but I assure you that the shorter the line move. And I brought up a graphic before, and if I saw this line move before coming on the show, I'd be well equipped with a new profile. But this profile has only gotten better with the recent line movement. But I still think we could use this graphic as a teaching piece of how markets have worked. So if we look at when home teams close between plus 120 and plus 150 with the market moving towards the home team, broken down by total range. When you look at a total of 8 or less, the home team is just 29 and 49, 37%. The lower the total, the more frequently the game goes under as well. And the lower the totals with big home dogs also implies great opposing pitching. So even if you're seeing the line move towards the home team, it doesn't mean necessarily the road pitcher is vulnerable, the favorite, right? I think that's very shocking to see a home dog flip from 37% on the money line to over 50% the higher the total gets. Between 8.5 and 9, this is where this game currently is, 51% on the money line. The crazy part about this is now that we're only seeing an 8-cent, 9-cent move towards the home team, if we filter down to when the total line moves less than 10 cents, it improves to over 60% on the money line. Like, this is a profile I just cannot pass up. I just cannot pass up. And I've been very lucky on this show to have cashed some of these big dogs in these markets. But this is why. We're just getting too much value to pass up on a home dog. And historically, in like-kind markets, these home dogs pay out. They line your pockets. So I could only be looking towards the Nationals in this game. Now, Cavalli, he's got a 4.49 xERA, a 1.46 whip. He's coming off an embarrassing, terrible outing against Tampa Bay. He went 2.2 innings, 6 hits, 3 walks, and 2 earned runs only. He got very lucky with a 3.0 whip. He has been much better at home this season. 3.73 ERA, 2.73 opponent batting average, and he struggles versus left-handed hitters, which is a concern when you got, the likes of Schwarber and the guys there's a lot of lefties in this Philly lineup that are dangerous. I get it. And after betting on watching Cavalli, I bet on Cavalli 5 starts. It's become clear to me that he cannot command his fastball. He leaves it over the heart of the plate far too often. His expected batting average on his 4-seam and his sinker is over 280. And his 4-seam has a 491 slug, expected slug. That's not very good. Philly versus right-handed pitching, they're 19th since May 15th and 13th since June. They're improving. I thought the curve would be steeper. They were terrible versus right-handed pitching, through the first 3 months of the season. Now they've been getting a lot better. But I thought the curve would be steeper. I really did. Now, Cavalli's been pretty good against this Philly lineup, 57 at-bats, 246 opponent batting average, and a 664 OPS. I can't say that I necessarily believe Cavalli's going to have a great start. I can't necessarily say that because we see this total ticking to the over. Even with the line move towards him, it doesn't give me a ton of confidence that he's going to be great, but it does give me a little bit of confidence that Sanchez might be vulnerable in the spot. And I know I could go through Sanchez's numbers. His numbers, underlying numbers, are insane. They're off the charts. Easily the best season of his career by pretty much every metric you look at. And after not allowing a run in all of May, he went all of May, about 5-6 starts without allowing a run. He's finally showing he's not invincible, but he's still very, very good. However, if you look at on the road this season, 3.23 ERA, 2.96 opponent batting average. At home, a 0.95 ERA, a 1.94 opponent batting average. So there's definitely some reason to believe that he could be vulnerable in this spot. We see the total moving towards the over. We know Washington hits left-handed pitching. They're second or first in all 3 ranges, whether you look at mid-May, since June, or on the season. I did question their ability to get to quality left-handed pitching last time I was on this show, but they got to Luzardo. 5 earned, 6.2 innings pitched. So 5 earned over 6.2 innings is a hell of a performance. But Sanchez versus Washington lineup, most of these games have been at home. 74 at-bats, 189 opponent batting average, and a 453 OPS. In my opinion, we have to be betting the Nationals in this game. The market is overwhelming. I cannot pass it up. The move to the over favors the home team. The less than 10-cent move favors the home team. Just everything about this market profile leads me one direction. It's the Nationals, and I cannot bet the Nationals full game. So I'm going to be moving on the first 5, and I'm going to be betting against Sanchez directly in the first 5. I got the Nats first 5 plus a half for plus 100. I got the Nats first 5 money line for plus 153. So I got a half a unit on both those plays, and I was thinking about adding first 5 or first 3 unders, but I I couldn't get there. I couldn't step in front of this move to the over. And this might be a mistake. You might want to say this is a mistake. This Nats team offense has been great, and they've been good in the first 5. They've been blowing games late, but it's hard to step in front of Philly at the moment, right? You don't want to buck the trend in the MLB. You want to ride the horse, and Philly's been a horse. So that's why I only moved for half a units on the first 5 instead of full units. Bold take, Nats team total over first 5. I mean, you'd probably get a hell of a good number, Dan. Dan, it's probably a really good number. I've been staying away from the team total markets. Every time I'm looking at a game, I want to bet team totals. And in the next game, I'm going to talk about wanting to bet another team total. But I do not have a favorable ROI. And then I think about like in this situation, if you bet the Nats team total over and you're taking I don't know what the price would be in this game. It's usually juice, right? Usually you're paying juice to take team total overs, where I could be taking plus 153 on the money line or in the first 5, or plus 100 on the first 5 plus a half. It just gets tricky and it becomes a math equation. And in this spot, I just decided not to lay the juice. And I think my historical ROI is keeping me away. I don't trust the Nats Pentroy. Hell yeah, topside. Neither do I. I don't trust this bullpen at all. So I'm staying away from it completely, and I'm isolating that first 5. And unfortunately, that's going to include Sanchez. Sanchez is the most in the entire equation. So Dan wins. This has been profitable over the year. Yeah, Nats team total over 1.5, juiced even. Agree with that counterpoint. Great analysis. Thank you. I mean, I can't talk you off. Other than in my heart, I always want to bet unders in nationals when they're at home, because everybody's always betting the overs. So I was on the same trip, but I cannot come to the conclusion that Philly will get 2 on Cavalli, first 5. So the first 5 team total over 1.5 is where I landed. Okay, so we had a couple people in the chat liking it. Colin Gregory looking at the first 5 over 4 minus 125. I think that's a viable bet. I think it's a viable bet. And if it weren't for the move to the over, I'd be on this under. But the move up to 8.5 and the fact it's even juiced towards the over, you can only bet the over. You can only bet the over. Because I like divisional home dog games I like to bet them under. And I'm going to talk about one of those games later. So Nats first 5 is where I'm at. The next game up is the one I want to bet so bad. I just haven't pulled the trigger yet. I've been both ways on this. So we got the Blue Jays and the Rangers. If we look around, I mean, we're talking between 70 and 80% of bets and cash is coming in on Toronto. No surprise there. Blue Jays opened 149. They're down to minus 144. The total opened 7.5 juice to the over. Now it's up to 8 juice to the under. Is that still the truth? That is still the truth here. We're still looking at the same exact market. So non-divisional home teams that open between minus 160 and minus 140. Let me pull this up real quick. Okay, got it. Non-divisional home teams that open between minus 160 and minus 140 with a total between 7.5 and 8. That's exactly what we're looking at. The base market, the home team, has been awful, 82 and 86. We're talking about a minus 140, 45 home favorite that's winning only 49% of the time. That's not very good. Not very good at all. You'd definitely be on the road team in that situation. Even the next bet, right? The home team's only winning 47% at L2, the second filter of the progression, when the line moves less than 10 cents or is flat, right? So not specifying which direction it's moving, but just saying it's moved very minimally. That's what we're looking at. The home team in that situation, 27 and 30, 47%. However, this part is truly shocking. When the line actually moves towards the road team, it flips completely. The home team flips to 18 and 10, 64% on the money line. You could expand the range and you'd even get more of that. You'd even get more, like it'd be an even stronger profile, bigger sample with the exact same result. Home team winning between 60 and 65% of the time, with trends towards the under as well. And I just thought that this market, this is my problem, is like when I first, so ultimately, let me just touch on this market one last time. Ultimately, if you faded line movement in this market environment, you've been printing cash. Because if we flip the profile to a 10-cent home move, the road team would be showing all the value and you'd be fading the Blue Jays. And after studying this market, I was pissed off that this last filter made the profile so unappealing because I wanted the Rangers. Then I looked at the matchup and I started to want to back Gaussman. Mark Stosowski, I appreciate you joining. Yeah, JPZ, that's the direction I'm about to head, man. Because I look at this matchup, I look at Gaussman, and this is a guy I want to back off a bad start. He's got a 1.13 whip, 349 xERA, so favorable regression is coming for him, supposedly, per the underlying metrics. He's coming off the worst start of this season in Chicago. 2 innings, 7 hits, 7 earned. It was really bad. We've actually seen some pretty massive regression from him since June. 4 starts, a 7.20 ERA. Now, a lot of that's caught up in his last one, but that's after an incredible May. And I look at who he pitched against, and it's not impressive, right? Miami, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Tampa Bay. And Tampa Bay, I believe, has been vastly outperforming, but they put it in my mouth today. But at this, so I start to think about Gaussman like, oh, that looks good. Like, maybe we could ride the trend and say Gaussman's going to continue to pitch worse. But then I look at what Gaussman has done after allowing 5 earned runs, right? Gaussman's not a pitcher that does that very often. He's done it 4 times since last season. So looking at all of last season and this season, he's done it 4 times where he's allowed 5 or more runs. This year, he did it 1 time. He allowed 6 earned against Tampa Bay. The next start, 6 innings, 4 hits, no runs. In 2025, he allowed 5 versus Kansas City, 7 innings, 3 hits, 1 earned. Arizona allowed 7 earned runs. Next start, 8 innings, 2 hits, no earned runs. He allowed 6 runs versus Tampa Bay last season. Next start, 7 innings, 3 hits, no earned runs. So the last 2 seasons, when he's had these blow-up starts, what has he done? He's answered with unbelievable performances. And honestly, I hammer pitchers that don't throw a lot of pitches. Usually I slight them and I throw them under the bus. But the way he uses them, something about it, like you could tell it's sustainable. His fastball 52% of the time, splitter 40% of the time. And Gaussman is really the main reason I did fall in love with the splitter. 2 pitches that complement each other perfectly. And if you have command, that's the only 2 pitches you need. And we know Gaussman, he has the veteran savvy. He's not going to walk too many pitchers. He's really got a good command. He's got a good feel for the baseball. It's not like he's going to go out there and start walking batters. Actually, he walked the most batters I think he's ever did in his career in 2 innings against the Cubs. That's even more why we should expect him to bounce back in this start. And I talked about the resume for what he did in May, and I slighted it. Miami, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Tampa Bay. But where does Texas fall into that equation? Probably fits perfectly into that equation. Texas is 21st first right-hand pitching since mid-May. They're 23rd since the beginning of June. And this is not an offense that has been hitting right-handed pitching. They have been getting hot versus lefties, but not righties. On the other side, you got Gore. And I originally looked at Gore, and I'm thinking he's going to have a good start. We know Toronto can't hit left-handed pitching, which I'm going to get into. And maybe we just jump straight into that. Maybe we just jump straight into what Toronto has done versus left-handed pitching. I think it's very valuable information. So I look at Toronto, and I know they're bottom 10, basically any time frame you want to run. But you also have to look at the gauntlet of left-handed starters. Now, Toronto, if you look at right-handed pitching, they have been heating up. Versus left-handed pitching, you're not really seeing that trend the right direction. However, look at who they've seen. I mean, it's been a gauntlet of left-handed starters. In June, they faced Bennett, they faced Toll, they faced Weathers, Luzardo, Sanchez, Sale. I mean, 4 of those pitchers are the first pitcher in the rotation. And Luzardo and Sanchez really were the guys skewing those numbers and really shut this team down. They did get 2 runs off all of them except for Sanchez. They got 3 off Toll, 6 off Weathers. Sale went 5.2 innings, 10 hits, 2 whip, and 3 earned runs. Like, I look at what they've done versus left-handed pitching, and I know the WRC plus does not look good, but look under the hood a little bit, and it starts to look a lot better. In April and May, who did they face? McClanahan 2 times, Rodon, Rogers, Detmers, Suarez, Robleski, and Peyton Toll again. I mean, these are really good left-handed pitchers. I know Gore's not a pushover. He's probably your average left-handed pitcher. These guys I'm talking about are as good, if not better than Gore. So I actually like the situation for the Toronto Blue Jay offense. And I look at the Toronto Blue Jays in this profile, and all these games have gone over. They have played to the over in a big way. So this is a really tricky spot. I don't know what to do with the data, with the history of this market environment. I think the matchup puts me on the Blue Jays. I have not moved. Anybody in the chat is on this game. We got Louisville Gambler. He's on the Blue Jays. Ty Clinton, my first time in the chat. I appreciate you joining the chat. Let us know your thoughts. You got the Blue Jays in this game. You got the Rangers. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people had the Blue Jays, expecting Gausman to bounce back like he always has. Oh, and the Giants, of course, come back and put up 4 runs, 4-2. God damn it. It's frustrating. I'm going to need to drink my water before I blow a gasket. All right. So I'm looking at, in this Blue Jays Rangers game, I'm looking Blue Jays money line, maybe Blue Jays first 5 money line, maybe Blue Jays team total over. And I think let's take a closer look at this first 5 line, because we know this full game line is inching towards the Rangers. We look at the first 5 line and it's doing the same thing. I mean, it's a 5-cent move towards the Rangers. I just feel like he could have a great start in this game. So I'm going to actually pull the trigger on this game. I'm going to move on the Blue Jays. I'm going to stop Hemman and Hahn, and I'm going to get on the first 5, and I can get a -135. I could probably get better than the -135. Let's go check some of these offshores. And I know the book JPZ's betting on. I believe I'll be on this. I'm on the same one right now. Let's see what we got over there. Let's see what we got over there. Blue Jays -135. Okay, so let's go Blue Jays -135 for a unit. I'm going to trust Gausman to bounce back. I faded him his last time out. It's time to get on him. I'm on the Blue Jays first 5 money line. Next game up, Mets versus the Cubs. It's funny. The Cubs are in one of 2 phases pretty much. They're going to be in one of 2 phases all season long. They're going to be in the ride the horse phase, or they're going to be in the don't catch a falling knife phase. I think they're currently in the ride the horse phase of the season because their offense has, again, started to explode like we've seen in that 2 10-game winning streaks that they posted earlier in the year. We're looking at pretty interesting cash flow splits. You know, you look at Action Network, 39% of bets, 39% of cash is on the Mets. But if we look over here at the Odds Logic, at the live odds screen, we look at the Chicago Cubs. We're looking at 60% of bets on the Cubs, but 78% of cash on the Mets. So sharp action coming on the Mets. But what have we seen this line do? We've seen the Mets open at -115. Now they're down to -108. The total opened 8 juice to the over. It's up to 8.5 juice to the over now. So we might even be seeing 9 start to pop. At least that's what it is. 8.5 is juice to the over, -121 right now. So I wouldn't be surprised to see this close at a 9. It's a very nuanced market that is very sensitive with all the variables that you enter into the equation. You know, the short home favorite, like you really have to isolate their short home favorite. They're a short home. They open as a short home favorite. Now they're a short home dog. Very minimal line movement. And the market's moving towards the over. It makes it a really tricky market to read. And before the line flipping, the profile is very neutral and hard to read. Now it could flip back. That's the problem with this market. But now that we're dipping below -110, we're really flipping, right? We're seeing the flipping of the favorite. The market history becomes clear. So I'm going to leave you with one profile that is the strongest. Home teams that open between -120 and -110, close between -120 and +100, with an average total between 8 and 9. Market moving towards the road team. So exactly what we're seeing in this game. The away team, the road team, the Cubs in this market environment, 35 and 20, 64% straight up. And it's played to the over, 30 and 22 to the over. If 50% of bets are on the away team, it's 18 and 8 for the away team, 69%, and 16 and 7 to the over. So the cash flow is not necessarily keeping me off this spot. You actually have been better off riding with the public in this spot. And if the market is also moving towards the over, like we're seeing in this matchup, 12 and 3 straight up and 80% is the road team. The Cubs on the road in like-kind markets in this sample, 6-0. 6-0 straight up for the Cubs. 3-0 this season. 2 of those games were against the Padres. And the Mets are 3-0 themselves in this market environment. So pretty tricky, but those games were from 2023 and 2024. So 2 years ago now. But they have been, even this year, they have been good in this price range, opening as short home favorites. I will say that. But I do think overall this market clearly is a play on the Chicago Cubs. I look at the matchup and it's a little bit, I have mixed feelings about it because Peralta, we've seen massive regression across the board in every underlying number. He's got a 383 xERA, which looks good, but not too long ago, that was a 3.10. It was a 3.10 in early May. Since the beginning of May, he's been borderline terrible in almost every start. And regression across the board. His pitching run value in 2025 was in the 97th percentile. Now it's the 31st. His K rate is down from 28%, well above league average, to 22%, which is league average. His fastball velo is falling. All of his pitches velo is falling. He was great against left-handed hitters historically until this season. This season versus lefties, 11 homers, 814 OPS. This is not the same Freddie Peralta that we were accustomed to seeing season in and season out. He has been great against the Cubs throughout his career, but this is not the same guy. And after 8 years of being a dominant pitcher in the MLB, maybe it's the environment he's in. Maybe the age is starting to catch up to him. I think it's the fact he's on the Mets, and I think that's a poisonous organization, and it poisons all the talent that comes its way. Chicago versus right-handed pitching, they're a top 10 lineup. The tricky part about the handicap is on the other side of the spectrum with Matthew Boyd, who comes off the IL. Brown, my guy Brown, who we just continue to back with massive amounts of success, he goes on the IL. The Cubs cannot catch a break from an injury standpoint. Then they trade for Peterson. So now they take a Mets pitcher off their staff, bring him onto their own. So you really see what happens. Is it the poisonous Mets organization, or is it that defense? Because I look at Peterson, he's got one of the highest. He's in the 90th percentile in the ground ball rates, right? The Cubs infield is the best in baseball. Cubs defense is the best in baseball. So I would expect him to be a better pitcher for the Chicago Cubs than he is the New York Mets. But back to Boyd, really tricky because he hasn't had a start since May 3rd, but he's got a 4.28 xERA, a 6.0 actual ERA. My understanding is, he was pitching through an injury, all the starts he's had so far this season, and then it was time to put him on. It's my opinion that Boyd is average, maybe slightly above to slightly below average, somewhere in that range. Obviously, everybody has better numbers. Every Cubs pitcher has better numbers at Wrigley because sometimes you're getting that just massive wind blowing in, not allowing any offense, not allowing any baseballs to leave the park. I do believe that he is an average pitcher. And if Peralta is going to be average, which I think what the market is telling us, then I do think we have a massive advantage with the Chicago Cubs bats. Now, it is a tricky game to bet because you have the nuance sensitive market. Peralta and Boyd, who I think are hard to project, and the Mets are facing a sweep. And I used to think, let's back a team facing a sweep. But you don't want to catch a falling knife in the MLB. Then I look at the Cubs with the Brewers on deck. They do have a potential look ahead. But do you want to ride the horse, right? In the MLB, we don't buy high, sell low as much as we ride the trend or, try not to catch the falling knife. I'm on the Cubs money line minus 102. I do think it's the right bet to make in this spot. And I have a disclaimer on all Cubs games. Obviously I've been betting the Cubs pretty much every game for 2 years with massive amounts of success. So keep that in mind. I've been riding this team for a long time. I don't even know if I should read the chat. Good luck today, Jose Bouquet. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you for checking in. Trip Carroll, I4K. Yeah, the ROA is against Sanchez in the first 5 on the market profile. Are you serious? Trip Carroll, am I serious? Well, the bookies are giving you a hell of a deal, hell of a cut, right? Why is that total? If it's so easy to bet Sanchez today, Trip, and this is a legitimate question. I'm not trying to slight you, and I don't feel slighted by you, but this is something I really do challenge you to think about. If it's so easy to just take Sanchez in the first 5, why are the bookies moving the line towards Cavalli? Why are the bookies moving the line to the over? Why is that? Are the bookies just nice guys and they're trying to share in their profits? We know that's not the case. All right, back to this. Okay, next game up. We just talked about the Cubs. We got the Cubs money line. Now we're on to the Red Sox and the Yankees, another divisional matchup that I'm heavily levered in. So looking at this Red Sox-Yankees game, we got 80% of the bets, and we're looking at 80% plus of bets and cash on New York Yankees, no matter where you look. Yankees open minus 156. They're down to minus 148. Is that still true? That is still true. The total opened 8, juice to the over. Now it's 8, juice to the under. So it's actually starting to juice back to the over. It's pretty much 8 at a pick at this point. And there are really no profiles in the database that's going to suggest a bet on the New York Yankees. We kind of just touched on a very similar market. Now, this is a much lower line at plus 123. It's really the plus when it eclipses plus 120 with a big move. This is a game I probably should have done a little bit of a graphic on to display what I'm talking about here. But what do we see in this divisional market? We see home teams winning at a rate that's way higher than their implied odds. Home teams that open between plus 120, plus 140, close between plus 115, plus 135, with a total less than 8.5, and the market moving their way. They're 27 and 28 straight up, 49%, and massive trends to the under, no matter what variables you want to include. As long as you have the divisional filter turned on, we're seeing nothing but unders. 33 and 20 to the under, 22 and 12 to the under. The Yankees are playing to the under. The Red Sox are playing to the under in like-kind markets. There's simply no way around it. Like, this market history only supports a move on the Red Sox or the under. There's no chance I could back the Yankees, and that's unfortunate because this is another game where I want to back Schlittler, obviously. Like, you look at Schlittler, how could you bet against him? There's no handicap that's going to tell you to bet against Schlittler by taking the Red Sox and their awful offense versus right-handed pitching. Schlittler is one of the best pitchers in the MLB, if not the best pitcher in the MLB. And at such a young age, like, you watch him pitch and you could tell he mastered tunneling between his fastball, cutter, and slider, 3 perfect pitches that create a very similar trajectory out the hand of the pitcher. He's in the 100th percentile in both pitching and fastball run value. He's dominant versus both lefties and righties. He's dominant both at home and on the road. Like, there's no holes I could really poke in this guy. Let's be honest. So I'm being honest. It's not like I'm betting against Schlittler. I'm just betting with the bookies. I'm betting with the bookies in this situation. I look at early on the other side. His Savant page puts him slightly below average, slightly in that range, I would say, below average to average. He's got a 4.40 xERA. And this type of pitcher that is going to go 7 innings, 0 runs like he did against Atlanta, but he could also give you 4.2 innings, 11 hits, 6 earned like he did against Texas. So it's really hard to know what to expect and when to expect it. The first start against New York Yankees this year, 5.1 innings, 5 hits, 3 earned. It was pretty damn good. And it's a rare breed of starting pitcher where he actually gets better the second time through the order. So maybe you want to hold off on the Red Sox and live bet it, hold off on the under and live bet it. But for me, I look at the Yankees traveling after stealing the series in Detroit. First game of a road series, they're 4-3 straight up, 6-2 to the under. I look at Red Sox traveling home after losing a series in Colorado. First game at home after road series, they're 4-3 straight up and to the under. So we're looking at trends to the under. We're looking at this has got to be bet under first and foremost. We have to move on this under. Market history is all over this under. And the matchup, obviously, with Schlittler on the mound, I would agree with it. And then I look at the Yankees versus left-handed pitching, and with Judge out of the lineup, they're league average. Now, there is some mixed results because you look at, like, they got the Skubal in his first start back. So how much equity are you going to put into that? He only allowed 3 hits, but all 3 hits were home runs. I doubt that's going to be the case against the guy that's in midseason form like Cam Early. Then I look at then you look at the Yankees. They also went against Fromber. They went against Abbott. Both those guys threw gems. I look at without Judge in the lineup. I look at Early. I think he could post a good start. You got the total that I'm shocked to see is still sitting here, given the weather situation, given the cash flow. Because what do we got on this cash flow situation for the total? Let me pull that up real quick because I'm interested in seeing it again. 57% of bets, 63% of cash on the over, and we're seeing a very stagnant line. Actually, the first move was towards the under, and that would be the line that I would say that to me indicates that the bookies probably like the under. I'm going to put my faith in this market and my belief in this game going under the total. I'm on under 8. I'm on first 3 under 2.5 at minus 140, and I'm on the Red Sox money line plus 133 full game money line in this situation. I looked at the first 5 market. I didn't see any reason there was no heavier move in the first 5. The price discrepancy was not favorable. So there's no reason to isolate the first 5 in this situation. That's why I'm on the full game only. Dan wins. This is where I need to be careful, not get too cute. First 5 under and a third of a unit to full game under 8. Yeah, I know. Like, I look at my first 5 profitability as well. Like, I've not been successful betting first 5 unders or overs. I've not been successful betting team total overs or unders. So I'm trying to stay away from that. And I'm on the full game under 8 and the first 3 under 2.5. Minus 140 is a pretty heavy price. So you can build it too if you want, if you prefer to pay less juice. Red Sox under 3.5 at -120 considered. Yeah, I know. I feel you. So they're going 6 innings, look over 17.5, juiced to the under, juiced with the total to under. Interesting. If I had enough time looking at your comments here, Dan, like it makes me wish I was just doing this absolutely full time, because that would be numbers I would love to track, see how those numbers pair with the result of the game, right? Adding those filters to the database would be massive to basically amplify market history. It really would amplify it, looking at some of those derivative markets. Louisville Gambler, I like Yankees for this price. I can't blame you. Clearly, the Red Sox are struggling offensively. And here I am putting my fucking neck on the line with the Red Sox. But with that being said, let's go to the last game on the board here. We got the Cardinals. We got the Diamondbacks. 68% of bets. We're looking between 60 and 80% of bets and cash coming in on the Cardinals. They opened -136. We've seen a very stagnant line. The total opened at 9, and that also has been extremely stagnant. Not a lot of movement at all, and I believe that's remained true. Now we're seeing, okay, very interesting. Very interesting. So the Cardinals are a game I posted yesterday as a CLV grab play of the day. I got them at -125. I had expectations to capture CLV and to close in a profitable market. Right now, we're not looking at a lot of movement, no line movement at this point, which means they profile at around 57% on the money line, which is about 1% greater than the implied at -125. Now, I will say that if you narrow the range down and you really just look at, because we have not seen any movement on this game. If at most we've seen a 5-cent move towards the home team and towards the road team, it came back to neutral. So what happens when a home team opens and closes between -132 and -120? That'd be -142 and -130. Basically 6 cents in either direction, right? To capture the smallest movements of any market. You're looking at the home team winning 48 and 31 straight up, 61%. And if the total is between 8.5 and 9.5, a half a run both directions, creating that range, 29 and 15, 66%. Now, if we do incorporate cash flow, the money line does drop to 58%, but we're still better than the 55% implied. So even though we're looking at this public spot, and even though the cash flow kind of reduces the profitability of the profile for the home team, they've still been a profitable bet. I look at the matchup and I love what I see. Because I want to fade Gallen, right? This is a ride the horse situation, or ride the trend, which is fading Gallen, who's been one of the worst pitches in baseball by far. And if it weren't for his ability to get ground balls with his changeup, he would be the worst pitcher in baseball. He's coming off 4 innings, 12 hits, 9 earned against Minnesota, a team that cannot hit right-handed pitching. He's been even worse on the road. 6.98 ERA, 335 opponent batting average. Lefties and righties alike kill him. He is worse for his left-handed hitters, and I think that is favorable in this matchup, because the big bats that I want to see in favorable matchups hit from the left side of the plate for St. Louis. You look at Gallen's pitch mix. 4 of his 5 pitches have an expected slug over 500 and an expected batting average over 300. His K rate is down from 22% to 14%. Again, the league average is 22%. So his numbers have absolutely dropped off a cliff. St. Louis versus right-handed pitching, they're 7th since mid-May, and they're 5th since the beginning of June. So they have been hitting right-handed pitching. McGreevy, just like Leahy, his expected numbers are way worse than his actual numbers. 335 ERA, 570 xERA. Part of the xERA is due to his home road splits. He's significantly worse on the road. At home, 225 ERA, 219 opponent batting average. Both of his last 2 home starts, he went 6 innings, gave up 2 hits and 2 earned. There's nothing you're going to look at when you're watching McGreevy. He does not pass the eye test. His K rate is extremely low. His velocity on his fastball is 92 miles an hour. The breaking run value is bottom 1%. He actually has no breaking pitches that he uses more than 11%. But his command and his location is borderline elite. And that's evidenced by the spray chart on Baseball Savant. I've only watched him pitch a few times, but you could just look at the Savant page and know that he's not walking batters, and he's not missing over the heart of the plate too often. He's got the 4-seam. He works up in the zone. The changeup drops out of the bottom of the zone. Not bad. Arizona versus right-handed pitching, 27th since mid-May, 27th in June, and 29th on the season. This Arizona team is an offense I want to fade. The Cardinals have the bullpen advantage. I did bet this last night. And, my other CLB grab play that we did on Tuesday was the only losing bet we made. However, today, I'm on the Cardinals. I got minus 125 per unit. And even if this line does tick towards the Diamondbacks a little bit, we have plenty of time on this game. And I'll make a post if I'm going to add to this position, but I'm definitely considering it. So Cardinals money line for me in this spot. Mr. Glover, what's going on, man? Just hopping in now. Let's get it. Well, damn, you hopped in as soon as we're finishing up, but I'm sure you can catch it back if you'd like to. Does Gallen get shelved here? Damn, I don't know. I think so. You got the Cardinals off 2 losses. They stay home for their next series. You got the D-backs off 2 wins. They travel to Tampa Bay. I think we have a favorable market environment, a favorable matchup, and a favorable situation. So I do like the Cardinals. So just to give a summary of my action, I got the Cardinals money line per unit. I got the Red Sox money line plus 133 per unit. I doubled up on the Red Sox unders, Red Sox Yankees unders, Red Sox Yankees under 8, and first 3 under 2.5. Got the Cubs money line. We got the Nationals first 5 plus a half and money line, first 5 money line for plus 100, plus 153 respectively for half units. And then we got the Tigers first 5 money line minus 120 for 2 units. I might be upgrading the Cardinals money line as the day goes on, but we shall see what that looks like. And man, after reading some of those comments in chat, I kind of want more Natch. I want more Nationals. Ron McMahon, thank you for stopping by late. I appreciate you. I know it's kind of in the middle of the day, and especially if you're on the West Coast, like, I'm saying, you're finishing up work, whatnot. So what live bets are you going to be eyeing to make? Well, definitely. So first 5 on the I'll be watching first. Every time I bet a first 5 and I push or I lose, if I would have bet the first 5, if I would have live bet it, I would have cashed. So I will be looking for the first 5 for a live bet on the Tigers, and I will be looking to increase my position. Maybe not a live bet on the Cardinals. Maybe I add a first 5 depending on the market. Actually, last check before we close out the show. What does this first 5 look like? And you can see McGreevy first 5 opened at minus 150, opened at minus 135, whereas the full game opened minus 130. It's not that big of a move. So I'd be adding to a full game position on the Cardinals if I do add. Rye guy, Phillies first 5 run line. Oh my goodness. I like the Nationals first 5. Mets game over. I do have trends to the over in the Mets game. Red Sox and Nationals giving me White Sox 5 from last week, Troy. All we need is one of them, brother. All we need is one. It's the best part about plus money. It's funny because when you actually take the time to take the VIG out of the equation, like if you look at all your losses, all the times you bet a favorite and lost to minus 130, minus 120, minus 180, whatever it is, all that extra juice you pay, like it adds up to over 10,000 bets, which is where am I at right now? I showed my record earlier. 1,200 bets this MLB season. Like we're talking about hundreds of units of juice that I'm losing, So any way you can limit the juice, so important. Keep your average line down. Or at least be conscious of your average line. Be conscious of it. In the NFL, I average like a minus 104, minus 105. In the MLB this season, I'm paying way more juice than I should be. And that's why I'm trying to correct it a little bit here. All right, man. It's going to wrap it up today. I mean, we've had great shows. Let's put another one up on the board. It's been a rough start to the day for me, but we got to bounce back, and I think that's what we're going to do. It's going to wrap it up with the closing line today, June 25th. Tomorrow's my birthday, so I'll be looking to cash today and enjoy my weekend. I will be moving. I'm going to have my action open. So, but it's always good to keep the energy high on your birthday, right? Even though I'm not a big birthday guy. I really appreciate everyone in chat. A lot of guys who show up to support me and support Pod Sports Radio every week, every Tuesday, every Thursday. I really appreciate you guys. I really do say it from the bottom of my heart. And I wish I could do more. I wish I could be better. I know everyone makes mistakes, and every time I make a mistake, I think about all the people that I've impacted, who's followed my action blindly. And I hope you guys do more than that. I hope it's not just following blindly, and that you actually believe in what I'm putting out here. So every Tuesday, Thursday. I'll be right back here at 5 p.m. Eastern to represent Post Sports Radio. And you know, Pete Loshak does a great job on Monday, Wednesday, Fridays, taking care of business. As I always say, every Tuesday and Thursday, every single time I'm on the show, been grinding my ass off since 5 a.m. trying to get to the bag. Now it's time to watch our investments flourish. Good capping, good luck, and I'll see your ass next Tuesday. Peace.
It's easier to sleep in the black. When you're losing your ass and feeling so, you know what to do. Tune in to Pop Sports Radio. Easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. It's a roller coaster ride, you're gonna catch a bad beat. No problem, keep your head up and just bet the spreadsheet. It's easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. All thanks to Jeff Slaughter, these shows have our backs. POD's always rolling, especially the stats. Easier to sleep in the black. It's easier to sleep in the black. We got Jimmy, Jose, Debbie and the fam, Dutch Wine Time, Spooner and OG Wham. So hit the like button, don't say that you can't. If you know what's best, just put your money on tape.